So a little bit about economics. Kind of a jarring thing, but we were talking about the price of uranium for a moment, so maybe we can move into economics. I think I have tried to show that compared to using fossil fuels, using nuclear power is a very good ecological choice, and that we really can't use renewables for much more than 20%. So now that we're talking about using nuclear power, let's talk about the economics of Vermont Yankee. Vermont Yankee has input to the Vermont economy in terms of payroll, taxes. What about the economy? The Senate voted against Vermont Yankee last February, before they had received a report commissioned by the legislature on Vermont Yankee economics. This is called the consensus report. Why was it a consensus? It was a consensus because the legislature hired two economic firms to write the report and come up with a consensus. It was such a hot potato, in my opinion, that if they'd hired this firm, someone would say, oh, they used to do some other work for some other utility, they're prejudiced. Or if they hired that firm, they might say, oh, they're prejudiced the other way, or they're, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what they have here is two firms doing the consensus report. At the same time, the union at Vermont Yankee, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, funded a smaller report using standard models with a standard consulting group, Northern Economic Consulting, about payroll and taxes. So I'll be quoting both of these. The direct financial effect of shutting down Vermont Yankee, according to the consensus report, is $60 million a year. According to the IBEW report, $93 million. Both of them come up with tax losses of around $10 million a year. And both of them come up with jobs lost of 1,100 to 1,300 per year. You have to understand that the plant actually employs 650 people. So these job losses are losses that spread throughout the state of Vermont. For example, somebody gets laid off at the plant, so he doesn't go to the lunch counter very often anymore. He eats at home. So one of the waitresses at the lunch counter loses her job because so many people aren't there, and so forth. That's called the multiplier effect, and that's why the jobs lost are much higher than the number of people through the plant. This is a chart that the consensus report put together. It's a little hard to understand, but let's try it. The black line down the center isn't just the line showing zero, it's the line showing that Vermont Yankee is relicensed and nothing else happens. That is, there are no other issues, there's no push to build renewables and so forth and so on. So that means zero job loss, but that's because it's the base case, okay? The red line dipping down below 1,100 to 1,500, we shut down Vermont Yankee and we don't really have a big push to build renewables. That's the huge job loss there. The top line, the green job loss is, the green line is we shut down Vermont Yankee, but we do a big push to build out renewables. And as you can see, for most of the time, up to 2026, it goes up and down around the line of just keeping Vermont Yankee. The best line, the blue line at the top, is that we relicense Vermont Yankee and we build renewables. And that is the best choice for the state of Vermont. It's a very nice line there with jobs increasing and Vermont Yankee running and renewables being built out. Let's talk a little about prices for a moment. The grid runs 4 to 8 cents per kilowatt hour. Vermont Yankee now is 4.4 cents per kilowatt hour and has offered 4.9 cents. Hydro-Quebec has offered 5.8 cents, and just recently, not on this slide, Seabrook has offered 4.7 cents. So you can see that basically Vermont, Yankee, Hydro-Quebec, and Seabrook are all there between 4 and 6 cents per kilowatt hour. That's what all their offers are coming in at, and the grid is running from 4 to 8 cents per kilowatt hour. Renewables, we have to offer the people who supply us with renewable power more money than that, or they are unable to economically offer us this power. So when the first time I said the renewables are 12 cents to 30 cents, someone asked me, so where'd you get those numbers? And the answer is, I didn't get those numbers. That's the number that the legislature put together as the prices that the grid had to pay for renewables in order to encourage renewables. 12 cents is, I believe, for farm biomass, 30 cents is for photovoltaic. Wind energy is in between there at 15 cents. But as you can see, even the least expensive renewables are twice the price of what the others on the grid, that is Vermont, Yankee, Seabrook, and Hydro-Quebec, are offering, which is a good reason to be cautious and move to 20% renewables instead of saying, oh yes, we're just going to replace Vermont Yankee with renewables. Besides the fact the grid won't be able to tolerate it, it's possible our pocketbooks won't be able to tolerate it until the prices of renewables come down over time, which I hope they will. Another thing I wanted to point out that people don't know is that grid prices follow the gas prices. This is just something everybody should know. This is an honest chart. That is, it goes from 0 to 120 on one side and from 0 to 16 on the other side. The blue line on this chart is the price of natural gas, and it goes from 0 to $16 per million BTU. I mean, it's never zero. I'm just pointing out that the volatility on this chart is real. It's not blown up like between 40 and 45 just to make it look really scary. This is real. This is from 0 to the top. Meanwhile, the price of energy on the electric grid is the green line, and it follows very closely on that. If we can put deals together with Vermont Yankee, if we can put deals together with Hydro-Quebec and Seabrook, we may be free of this. But if we have to buy at the grid, we are basically placing a bet that natural gas prices will remain low. It's not at all clear that that's going to happen. There was an article in the New York Times yesterday, a very well-researched report, claiming that the shale gas is not going to be as inexpensive or as plentiful as it has been made out to be. The Vermont economy is sensitive to electricity prices. We think of, oh, well, I can conserve. That's great. I can conserve. About half the electricity in Vermont is used by businesses and hospitals. Many businesses in Vermont are high-tech, specialized, and heavy users of electricity. We don't have smokestack industry here. We have high-tech industry. And two places that have said publicly they're worried about the effect on their business of Vermont Yankee closing are IBM and GW Plastics. IBM, everybody's heard of them. They're in Essex Junction. They use $35 million a year worth of electricity. I don't think they're going to be happy or even stay around if their electricity prices go up by 25-30% because gas prices go up and we're buying from the grid. GW Plastics uses $1 million a year worth of electricity. It's a small company in Bethel. I have seen the president of that company quoted in the newspapers as also being quite concerned with electricity prices. There are no mines for silicon or plastics here. People aren't locating their businesses in Vermont because, after all, Vermont has the great silicon mines or something. They're here because we've got an educated workforce, we've got pretty good transportation, and people like living in Vermont. But all that can turn in a second if the electricity prices go up by the amount they may, with rising natural gas prices and so forth. So the economic reports did not cover electricity price rise. The rise in any price hurts the sectors of the economy. You know, you can see prices, you can see natural gas, I'm sorry, not natural gas, but you can see an article in the paper, gas prices reaching $4, consumer spending expected to decrease, etc., on other things. That's a kind of thing economics do all the time. However, nobody has been estimating any kind of Vermont job loss with electricity price rise. They could do it. They could say if hospitals have electricity price rise, they'll have to cut back and probably lay off some people. If electricity rises so high that IBM decides it's not worth keeping the Essex Junction plant, there'll be so many people laid off. They could do this, but they don't because it has been politically unwise to do that. It's just throwing more into the problems that will happen if Vermont Yankee closes.